Let me paint a picture for you really quick. Say you're looking for a new car. You have $5,000 or so, and you want it to be something that looks cool, has some soul, and you can go out and carve up some back roads on the weekend. Statistically, there's a few cars that fit in that category. You have the Miata, the Z3, MR2, certain E30 models, and stuff like that. But there is one car that has always flown under the radar, and I really don't know why more people aren't talking about it. That would be the Alfa Romeo Spider. I have had this one for a couple years now, and I have had two in recent history, and both of those combined have cost me a grand total of $6,200. When I say these things are cheap, I mean they are extremely cheap. Sometimes it's hard to find one in good condition, but they made enough of them that it's really not that hard to find. So you could have technically two of these for a price of one of those other cars, and why would you not? Because would you just look at it? This is an absolutely beautifully designed car. The proportions are very small, but it has a lot of character. It was actually designed by Pininfarina, which I'm sure you know has made quite a few very classic cars. The front is more of like a slanting pinch up here. You have buckets that the headlights sit in, which give it a really nice look. Very straight body line back to the cam-backed tail. Now these actually came out in the 60s, while this is an 89 model. And the earlier ones, yes, were a little bit more beautiful, but they are way more expensive. And those ones didn't have all this junk on the back, the crash bumpers, and you just had a nice sloping cam tail. The interior were a little bit more classy, but given this one cost me $4,000, I'm not going to be complaining about any of that because it is still a great looking car. And not only are these great looking, they drive, well, I wouldn't say great, but it is an experience. Every time you step behind the wheel of this thing, no matter what kind of mood you are in, when you exit the car, you're smiling. And I'm smiling just sitting here thinking about driving this thing because it is just, you can't help but laugh. It's such a goofy car. This particular one weighs, I think, 2,400 pounds or so, and it does have a 2-liter twin cam motor in it that is actually fuel injected. You'll notice I have a little block here. There's two things wrong with the car, one being the e-brake is not working, but other than that, it is in great condition. And that 2-liter 4-cylinder produces 115 horsepower. Anticlimactic, I know, but given the size of this car, the weight, and all the other driving experiences you get out of it, that's all you need. And in my honest opinion, it's more fun to drive a slow car fast than a fast car slow. Stuff like that over there, yes, they are fun cars, and I would take that any day of the week over this. There is a spot for these types of cars that are cheap and just give you so much thrill for the money. I purchased this one a couple years ago, like I said before, and there has not been much that has gone wrong with it since the purchase. There's a little bit of a sag in this rear suspension. That's been my main culprit through the entire ownership, is just trying to get the car to sit right. So I did suspension all around, and then since then, the only thing that have gone wrong is I broke a fuel line, which it sits a lot, so that's not surprising, and I had to do the water pump. Apart from that, this thing has been absolutely rock solid. And the cool thing is, they're so cheap and easy to maintain that you can get parts pretty much anywhere. That water pump cost less than $100 for me, and I was able to change it in a couple hours. You technically could have zero knowledge of working on cars. I could call you up on the phone and talk you how to work through pretty much anything on this. And that's one of the best points about this car. It's beautiful, it makes you giggle when you drive it, and it's cheap and easy. Like, you could be just anybody. You could not have any knowledge of cars, buy into one of these, and not have a regrettable owner's experience. My other one was actually a Spider Veloce. This one's a Spider Graduate, because what made this car famous, although it was way before my time, was the movie The Graduate, where he drove one of these cars. And if you come around back here, there is actually a badge that states that right next to the injection badge, because I'm assuming back then having fuel injection was such a big deal. And then your obvious beautiful Alpha badge right there. And this car is incredibly wonky. There's nothing normal about it. I mean, just take a look at the exhaust pipe. They could have either put it right there in the middle or on the side, and they decided to put it right here. And that is just the tip of the iceberg with this thing. It is such an odd car, but that's why I love it. I mean, things like this, that's a pretty interesting looking antenna. But my favorite thing is the shifter. This is in reverse now, so it's on a lower gear, but look at the angle of that. It is parallel to the actual ground. And when you get these taller gears, like first and third, it sits like this, so it's still at a super, super odd angle, and this is a very long shifter. So operating it is an experience. And then you get this giant non-power assisted wood wheel, and you just kind of are transported back to a different time. This one does not have the best paint in the world. It's, I think, single stage paint, and it sat outside for a little while, and that faded down to just almost looked like dust. So I actually put a cheap clear coat on top of it, and until I get really close, you really don't know. So given the budget this car was in, I'm not gonna do really anything much else besides that. Let's pop the hood here, and you'll notice it has the hood that jumps forward instead of backwards, which is pretty cool, and weighs absolutely nothing. I mean, this is like tin can material, but you'll see this engine is obviously got a good amount going on as far as like injection and hoses, but that's all emission and early fuel injection. Apart from that, it's a very simple car. I mean, you can look down here and just see the engine mounts. The water pump that I had to replace was right there, super easy. One other thing, this is a radio from the other one, because the first day I had it, it popped, but I don't even consider that anything to complain about. Over here, you have the intake, and this kind of pinches down right here, which is kind of funky, but I like it at the same time. And one thing people don't really know about these cars is one of the first adopters of VVT. I can't remember which year they came out with, and I honestly have no idea how this particular car works, but it works, and I'm not gonna dive too much deeper into that until it has a problem. I have to figure out how it does work. But honestly, super compact, it's not a low revving motor, it's not high compression, but it has a sound that you really can't replicate. It is a little bit heavy on the fuel, so you get some nice organic pops and bangs out the back. It doesn't sound assisted or anything. It's just what you want a car like this to be, just kind of that raw, visceral feeling. And one of the things that makes it a little different than the other cars in this category is, yes, it's age and it's handling. Like if you look at these tires, these are tiny. I think they're 14s. Is that right? Yeah, they're 14s. And you have massive sidewalls. So when you're cornering, you really have to kind of lean it and get it to load up, and then it grips. But it grips better than you would think, given that you have such a tall sidewall and such a narrow tire. We have 185s all around on this thing. Pretty insane. We'll jump on over into the interior. That did not close. It usually closes pretty easily. Okay, there we go. And first thing you'll notice is just how small everything is. Like, look at the size of all these little things. Like, it's barely enough to fit your finger in. The pedals are really tiny compared to a foot. I mean, look at that. And then all the knobs and all the handles and stuff. Even this mirror. I mean, it's a small car, so you got to expect that stuff, but that's what makes it special. I'm also not sure what they were thinking, given this car doesn't have AC, but there are just vents all over the place. I don't know what you would even need that for, because you're going to be driving this with the top down anyway. This particular car has a little bit of crack on the dash. That's really normal for them. But other than that, it is a very, very clean and minimalistic interior. You don't have AC in most of the models, and some of the Veloces you did get AC, but most of them just come with heat, defrost, and stuff like that. You have this massive wood grain wheel, and really actually pretty cool looking Jaeger gauges. Can't remember if that's how you say it right, but the earlier models like 87 and back had 2 little pods. Looks way cooler, but like I said, you pay a little bit more for those. Overall, pretty good place to be. And if you look at me sitting here, I look extremely goofy sitting inside this car. I'm not like a huge dude or anything, but look at the headrest is like a foot lower than me, and you sit really high up above the top of the door, just because that's what kind of cars were of that era. I mean, the door is very thin, very light. And one of the most important things, you had smoker windows. I wish they never did away from these things. I absolutely love them. And like I was saying before, soul and character is what this car is all about. The shifter has so much throw, you have to put everything you have into each time you shift it. The steering is heavy, it loads up in the corners, it breaks them loose sometimes in the lower gears, which is actually kind of cool. The body roll's hilarious, the engine note's hilarious. It's just the perfect car. Like, you will never have a bad time driving this, unless you're trying to commute long term on the freeway. But let's give this thing a quick listen, because it sounds shockingly good. given that it's a low compression 2-liter 4-cylinder. I'll start it up, give a couple revs, and we're going to hit the road and show you what the driving experience and, more importantly, the hilarious sound is like. Alright, let's get moving. You can actually break the tires loose a little bit in first gear, which is something that kind of shocked me when I first drove this thing. But it's like the steering is pretty heavy to begin with, but then it lightens up, of course, as you start to get going, and it just feels amazing when that steering loads up in a corner. And I just can't express how much fun this thing is to drive. It's just so weird. I mean, look at this shifter and this giant steering wheel right in my lap. It's just like, it's amazing. Plus, you get these really thin doors, and like the door is super low compared to most coupes now, or most convertibles now, where the door is like up to here or something like that. So you just feel like you're just floating as you're driving this thing. So I'm gonna head up here to the end of the neighborhood and step on it a little bit and let you hear this thing kind of pop and crackle, and we'll just laugh at it together. So just like a lot of my classic cars, the speedometer doesn't work, but I'm just going to do a pull from this point of view just to show you how astonishingly slow this is, but how it can be so much fun at the same time. All right, let's get going. Oh my God, this thing is amazing. There's a nice turn right here. Hopefully I don't scrape. No scrape today. All right. And having fun in cars is absolutely not about speed and horsepower. I have a handful of cars, and nothing's like over the 400 something horsepower limit. And even that's a lot. Like, you can have a lot of fun with 150 horsepower. I mean, you have to do all the work. If you want to go fast, you have to drive the car hard, and you have to know the car and work with it, but you just feel everything, and you feel like you have to work for it. It just makes it so much more fun. I can't even express just how much I love this car, and especially given the price bracket. Like, this one's probably going to die with me. Hopefully that's not for a long time, but it is definitely staying with me. And if you guys are looking for something in a similar price bracket to that, you cannot go wrong with this. Listen to that pop as we're going down this hill. It says factory exhaust on it too. You could make it sound even better than it does right now. So hopefully you will not be seeing too much of this car in the future, because it just straight up doesn't break. But if it does, I will be sure to make a video and just kind of show you how easy this thing is to repair. And look, I'm filming backing up this super tight driveway all at once because it's this big. You don't even have to worry about it.